Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Youthman. First and foremost, I hope you guys are excited about 2021. 2020 is behind us, man. A lot of junk happened there, but this is a brand new year, and I could not be more excited about it. So happy New Year to you. Hope you and your family had an incredible Christmas as well as a new year together. Now, if you're new to the channel, thanks so much for stopping by. My name is Michael, and I produce weekly content on home theater tips, reviews, as well as home theater tours. And so if that's something you're interested in, consider subscribing and click the bell notification so that you'll be notified of future videos. Now today we're going to be reviewing the Kanto TUK Powered Speakers. I've had the TUKs in my home for about 2 months now, reviewing them. And overall, guys, I've been super impressed with these little guys. Actually, last night I went to come into the theater room. I was going to shoot this video, shoot the review of it. And I sat down, turned them on, cranked them up a bit, and I found that 3 hours went by of me just listening to music, enjoying them, and didn't even get a chance to shoot the video. So in this video, I just want to share with you, like, what do I love about these? What are some things that I don't like about them? I'm also going to pair this review with their speaker stands because they sent those to me as well, and they kind of go hand in hand. So I'm going to kind of pair that up in this video. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is the aesthetics of these. Now, typically I tend to order speakers that are in like wood finishes like cherry, mahogany. I love those. And then if they don't have that, I'll typically get a speaker in like a black finish because that's just kind of neutral. But with these, you can either get them in a matte black or a matte white. And I'm like, you know what? Let me just see what a white speaker would look like. I mean, you know, you see them online and they look cool and definitely very modern. But I'm wondering, you know, would I like them like in my home setup and environment? And so the Kanto TUKs arrived and I unboxed them, and I gotta say, I really, really like the way that these look. I mean, I'm looking over here at them now. I love the round corners. That to me is just a very modern style and appeal. And even the woofer, the 5¼ inch woofer, is totally different. I mean, we've got this gray tone. You've got the black rubber surround around it, and then the rest of the speaker is white. And then right behind the speaker grill for that AMT tweeter, you've got these black lines. And so it's just a really cool style between this white, black, and gray color scheme. Now the front of the powered speaker is just super minimalistic. We've got our control knob over the far right with some LED indicators to the left of that. And then we've got a headphone jack as well as the IR sensor. Now one thing I like is the Kanto TUKs do come with magnetic grills. That allows that front faceplate just to be really clean. There's no holes in it for like speaker pegs. And so I've always really enjoyed having magnetic grills. With that said though, I really prefer to look at these without the speaker grills. To me, the gray speaker grill almost takes away from the aesthetic of it. I just like looking at these things, man. They're gorgeous. I really like just the style and design of these. And so my preference, leave them off unless maybe you've got some small children, or maybe you've got an animal that possibly could jump up that high, maybe a cat that could scratch it. But other than that, man, I just like the grills off. Now, before I talk about the performance of the TUKs, I want to talk about the speaker stands. These speaker stands truly are impressive. Number one, they're extremely heavy. The base plate on the bottom is made of just a really thick steel, and so it really adds some nice density to these speaker stands. They're hollow through the middle, so you do have some option for cable management. You can choose to run the speaker cable down through the middle, feed it out the back. Also, on the bottom of the base plate, there's a groove that allows you to run that speaker cable out the back so that it doesn't sit on top of your cable. So that's just a really nice touch to keep it nice and clean. Now, because of the design of the speaker stand, it's really going to be difficult for you to fill it with either sand or some people put rice in it or kitty litter or whatever you want to choose to put in it to kind of dampen it. It does have a little bit of a ring to it, so there may be some resonance from that when you're playing the speakers for those of you that are really like audiophiles. And so you might have to get creative if you were to go with this speaker stand, because you would have to maybe put some kind of bag, fill that with sand or whatever you're going to fill it with, and then slide that in the tube. So again, you might have to get a little bit creative, but you can still definitely fill these with something to allow that to become really, really dense. But probably the biggest thing that I love about these stands is Kanto really thought about this. I mean, think about it. You've got a beautiful set of speakers on top of a smallish platform, and the last thing you want is somebody bumping that speaker and it come toppling over, and then you've destroyed your speaker and have to purchase a new one. But one of the things I love about these speaker stands is they can actually screw into the bottom of pretty much all of Kanto's speakers. So in the bottom of the Kanto speakers, you can see that there is a threaded insert. And so it allows you to fasten the speaker directly to the stand so that it is super, super secure. Now I've picked these up sideways, I've turned them upside down, and they are 100% solid. They're not moving, they're not twisting, they're not spinning, they're definitely not going to come off. And so I really, really commend Kanto for adding that feature. So now let's talk about my favorite part of the Kanto TUKs. Let's talk about how do they sound? How do these little guys perform? Now we've got an AMT tweeter, and honestly, I've been used to like horn speakers over the past many years. I've always loved clips. You guys know that if you've been a part of this channel for any time. I've just always loved the detail and the clarity that a horn speaker provides, especially with clips. But with the Kanto TUKs, the AMT tweeter, there is a ton of detail, but what I'm really starting to like about AMT tweeters is you get all that detail, all that resolution, but you don't get that really bright kind of in your face. They're still what I would consider a forward sounding speaker, kind of a lively speaker, but they do not have like this really forward top end. That top end is a little bit laid back just so that it's not like overly bright. These are phenomenal. I really, really like that tweeter. Now with that, mid-range, oh my goodness, I love the vocals on this. Like I said, last night I found myself listening to music for about 3 hours. And for the most part, I don't just sit down and listen to music. I'm a movie guy, man. I love home theater. I'm all about home theater, but I do enjoy music. And what I found with the Kanto TUKs is that the more I listened, the more I wanted to listen. I just kept going through. Even artists that I've never heard of, I'm like, oh, I want to see what this sounds like. And I would hear things that were just so beautiful. Listening to piano was just so melodic. Vocals, like I said, whether it was a female vocal or a male vocal, it's almost a very forward sound, but man, just incredible, incredible detail and really, really, really impressive. Now, speaking of impressive, as I mentioned, the Kanto TUKs have a 5¼ inch woofer. Now, 5¼ inch doesn't really produce a whole lot of bass, or does it? With the Kanto TUKs, I found that they produce a really, really nice bottom end. Now, granted, they're not going to dig super, super low. When I was listening to music, most of the notes that I would hear were very, very solid. Now, of course, there's certain musics, soundtracks or tracks that would kind of dig a little bit deeper, and that's where the Kanto TUKs are going to kind of fall off. The good thing is that the Kanto TUKs can add a subwoofer to it that could take care of those lower octaves. And so if you find that they don't produce enough bottom end, enough tactile bass, or they just don't go deep enough, you've always can add a subwoofer, a dedicated subwoofer to handle those lower octaves. Now you can connect a lot to the Kanto TUKs. You could connect a turntable through the dedicated phono input. You can connect Bluetooth, which was typically how I had it connected. Now, one thing you can also do with this is because it has a standard RCA input, is one thing that I did is I hooked up my Amazon Echo Dot to that input. And so that allowed me to have some voice control. And so I could say, play this song from this artist, and it would automatically begin to play that through the Kanto TUKs. And so if you want to add some voice control and not have to touch anything, you could be walking around your house, have these set up maybe in your living room, and you can be in the kitchen and you could call out to your Amazon Echo or whatever device you have, Alexa based, and it would play that through the Kanto TUKs, which that just is a pretty cool feature to me. Now, one thing I found with the TUKs in regards to performance is they're just a lot of fun. I mean, I just found myself just really enjoying the music. And I listen to a variety of music. There's not like one genre of music that I enjoy. I enjoy anything with a beat. So anything like pop or even some hip hop, just something that kind of, gets my head bouncing and gets my body moving. I always enjoy that. But then I also found things like just acoustic music, with somebody with a guitar or a piano, a violin. All of those things were just super, super enjoyable with the TUKs. And it almost seemed like the more I cranked it up, the more I wanted to crank it up. And the good thing with these is they get pretty stinking loud. I mean, they're not going to blow your doors off by any means, but they are more than sufficient with that built-in amplifier that is powering both of these speakers. You can crank it up all the way, and the good thing is there were only a few songs that when I cranked it up all the way that it began to distort a little bit. And it wasn't in the top end, it was mostly in the bass, but it was a pretty bass-heavy track. And so as long as you don't turn them like wide open, these things sound phenomenal. Even at very, very loud volume, kind of all the way up against that ceiling, they just remain crystal clear. The highs never broke up, even at max volume. Like I said, it was just the bass, just a little bit, but most of the time you're not going to want to crank up pretty much any receiver or any amplifier to its max anyway. I just wanted to see what they could do. But overall, they handled it very, very well. The bass that comes out of these is really, really solid. Now, in my home theater, I've actually got these away from the wall and away from the sidewall quite a bit. I mean, we're talking probably 2 foot from my sidewall and then technically about 4 feet from my front wall. And so there's not a lot of boundary gain that I'm getting with these. And I still got really solid bass from them, but it wasn't overwhelming. Now, if you were to take those speakers and put them probably in a standard living room or in a bedroom to where you can get these closer to the wall or closer to the sidewalls, you're going to get probably a lot more bass than even what I got out of here. And I felt they were very, very sufficient, even in this pretty decent size 13 by 19 by 10 foot room. So I've shared with you the things that I really enjoy about the Kanto TUKs. And so now I want to talk about maybe just a few things that I don't really care about. And there's not a lot of those, but the first thing is the remote, okay? The remote isn't anything fancy. Honestly, I'm just not really, number one, kind of digging the style and aesthetic of this. I'm not too big on the two-tone black and white, but it functions great. I mean, it's totally fine. It's just, I don't know, it's just not super awesome. I think the best part is their logo. I definitely really like their logo and their branding. But to me, the remote didn't really excite me. The other thing is the speaker grills. I mentioned that earlier in the review. To me, the speaker grills just take away from the beauty of these. I'm not sure if a black speaker grill or maybe even a white speaker grill would have been better than the gray. But to me, just personally, I didn't care for the gray speaker grill. I just like looking at them just like they are. Another thing, some of you guys might want to pair these with your television. Maybe you are just using your TV speakers, which typically are garbage. These would be a tremendous improvement over TV speakers by far. You could utilize it for movies as well as listening to music. But the one negative would be it doesn't have HDMI ARC. And so you're not going to be able to come out of your TV into these unless you're going to use like something like a fiber optic cable or maybe an RCA cable if your TV has an RCA out. Typically, you're going to want to use that fiber optic cable. So that would get you good sound. You're just not going to be able to kind of control the TV with the remote here or vice versa, using your TV to control the volume of the Kanto TUKs. And so it doesn't have HDMI ARC. That would be a really cool feature, Kanto, to add to maybe a future version of the TUKs. Other than those three things, I really can't think of anything negative to say about the TUKs. They look gorgeous. They sound really, really good. Again, on a variety of music, pretty much everything I threw at them. I even listened to some heavy metal, which I'm not into heavy metal, but I just wanted to see what they would sound like. They're very, very quick on the bass response, as far as, like when they had the double foot pedal or double bass pedal, whatever you want to call it, double bass. Did very, very well with that. But man, they just sound really, really good. And like I said, the more I turned them up, the more I enjoyed them. Now, who are the TUKs for? I could see the Kanto TUKs being great for a lot of applications. Whether it's in a 2-channel setup just for music listening, I could see these being a great upgrade to your TV speakers or even a soundbar. These would blow a soundbar away by far, at least most of the soundbars that are on the market. So it would be a great improvement sound-wise over that. I also could see these being used in a computer setup, which when I rearrange my room in my office, I want to use these as a computer monitor speaker. And so that way I can use them for editing videos as well as just, enjoying music while I'm working at my workstation. But in order to do that, one thing that Kanto sells is just this really small, really, really cool desk mount. And so it angles these speakers up towards your listening position if you've got them mounted on a desk. And so if you're considering the Kanto TUKs, or even some of their other speakers, definitely check out their website. They've got a lot of cool speaker stands, whether it's desk stands or, I believe these were the 26-inch stands here. They even sell one a little bit taller if you want them up a little bit higher. So they've got a lot of resources and a lot of accessories on their website for their speakers. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed the review of the Kanto TUKs. I think they're a phenomenal speaker. I'll have links to it down in the description below. As always, you guys be blessed, and we'll catch you in the next video.